All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our Thursday night NUMMI Breakthrough with Stephen K. Scott. If you hopping on either for the first time or you're here to take a second look at the technology, the science behind NUMMI Hydrostat, just comment in the chat where you tuning in from, city, state, country. Just let us know where you're coming in from. You have about 60 seconds before we get the tonight rolling. So I'm gonna start the timer right now. All right. Well, tonight's presentation is going to be in English. And for all of our non-English speaking attendees, we do have captions enabled. So take a listen.
Untuk mengaktifkan terjemahan bahasa Indonesia, silakan klik caption di panel laptop atau handphone Anda semua.
Para poder obtener la traducción en español, es necesario hacer clic en el menú de Zoom y elegir la opción Subtítulos en español.
大家好，如果你想看字幕，请按屏幕底下的 CC 按钮，选择中文。此功能仅适用于直播。
Bonjour, bienvenue à cet événement NUMMI. Vous pouvez activer les sous-titres dans votre langue en cliquant sur Sous-titres au bas de l'écran. Veuillez noter que cette option fonctionne uniquement dans la salle Zoom en direct. Merci et bonne écoute.
大家好，如果你想看字幕，請按屏幕底下嘅 CC 按鈕選擇中文。呢個功能淨係適用於直播。
All right. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Keith Chasson. I'm not sure why I'm not highlighted. Let me see if I can figure this out real quick. Let's see. Spotlight for everyone. There we go. Keith Chasson, Double Diamond with NUMMI. I got the distinct pleasure and honor of getting tonight's event started. Now, you know, Stephen Scott and Aaron Renner, they're traveling across the world, getting Indonesia kicked off. Just such an exciting time with NUMMI as we expand across the globe. But we're going to go ahead and get tonight's presentation started. And to kick it off, here is Aaron Renner.
Hello, everyone. Good to be with you today. Welcome to the call. Welcome to this broadcast. Again, welcome. We certainly appreciate everybody jumping on today. Remember, we've got a few minutes, so go ahead and send all of your contacts. NUMMI.tv. Let everybody jump on as well, because we love seeing these faces. It's good to see so many people that I know that I am getting to know over the course of time. I see even Scott still raising up, Sherman and Alan Lofton, who I haven't seen for at least 24 hours. So anyways, folks, we're real excited. We really appreciate everybody. You know, not too long ago, I'd received a text message, probably like a lot of you, and they said, how would you like to meet a guy by the name of Steve Scott? And I said, I'm not familiar with him, but tell me a little bit more. And I think I just got muted. And at any rate, so I drove down and I met with Steve. And I had an incredible conversation. And I've mentioned this before, but as I walked in, I saw all of these celebrities that I grew up with on TV and movies and everywhere else. And I thought, who is this guy? Who am I meeting? And as I got to know Steve a little bit better, I learned about an incredible breakthrough technology that he's going to talk about today. I learned about his desire, his vision, strategy, and direction to go into the people business. And I learned a little bit more about Steve and his family and what drives him, what motivates him, his vision, and his desire to help people around the world. And so I got excited, folks, just like you. I got excited about a technology that I hadn't heard about that really worked. I had found out about skincare that really had extremely good experiential results. So I got excited about that. I got excited about ingesting, obviously, glutathione, which is really difficult to get through the stomach. So Steve will tell you how we did that. And then Steve will talk a little bit about his background, his experience, and some of the big brands that he brought to market. But what got me the most excited was the fact that all of these brands that I was really well aware of were all brands that I had seen, that I tried, that I'd used. And all of these brands selling billions of dollars were nothing compared to what Steve said his incredible breakthrough was. Out of all of those breakthroughs, it's NuMe. It's our NuMe products. It's our NuMe technology. So with that being said, Steve, I'm going to turn it over to you. Welcome to the call. You're muted.
There we go. Always remember to take the mute button off. So anyway, but I'm allowed excuses. I'm 74 years old, so we get to count something up for age. And however, my energy level and my health is where it was in my 30s. All my numbers are where they were. I mean, it's crazy what's happening. And like Aaron said, my livelihood was basically finding breakthrough technologies, breakthroughs in everything from education, weight loss, fitness, even insurance, believe it or not. I sold over 2 million life insurance policies because I found a breakthrough way to sell it. And breakthroughs, what is a breakthrough? A breakthrough is something that can do something either more efficiently, more effectively, or more economically than anything else that's on the market. And that's what I focused my life on. I had a weight loss product. We started with $5,000, and this wasn't the weight loss product, but we started with $5,000, had a breakthrough product in acne treatment at the time. This is 1976. And the result was within 5 months, we were selling $1 million of product a week. We were the #1 brand in America, and yet we weren't on a store shelf. We were priced at 4 times as much as the former #1 brand called Clearasil. And it was amazing. People couldn't wait to get our product. And once they got it, they stayed on it because it was a breakthrough. We had a weight loss product where you didn't have to count calories. You didn't even have to have a diet. You didn't have to count carbs. And all you had to do is be able to take cards out of one side of a wallet and move them on to another side. And we had millions of people do that. In fact, one guy set the Guinness Book of Records, losing 715 pounds, the biggest weight loss ever recorded. His wife lost 300 pounds on our program, all without dieting. It was a breakthrough. We had an educational breakthrough that could literally take a D student, including my high school daughter at the time, and turn them into an A student overnight. 3.5 hours of watching a video. That's all it took for college students, graduate students, high school students, junior high students. It was so effective, it became the study skills program for universities such as Texas A&M and others, and for junior highs and high schools. It was amazing what it accomplished. It was very simple, but it taught students skill sets that made learning and taking tests and taking notes a lot easier. It was called Where There's a Will, There's an A. My television spokespersons for that program were Michael Landon, one of my best friends in Hollywood. In fact, he was my best friend in Hollywood that I had. And who else? John Ritter was also a spokesperson for that. But that's what I did. In 2006, what's that, 30 years later, I met a doctor from the Mayo Clinic, and he was triple board certified. He was an oncologist, a hematologist, and an immunologist. He had his own clinic in Florida for 11 years. And he introduced me to a word that he said was going to change my whole life. I didn't believe him. I literally when I first heard that, I thought, shovel, please, which is what we used to say in our business anytime anybody tried to snow us. And meaning you had to shovel it in back of you because you didn't want to walk through it. And that's what I thought this guy had. But the word he introduced me to was glutathione. Glutathione, now that I've had 16 years in it, glutathione is the single most important molecule in life. It's just as important as oxygen. We wouldn't live for 2 minutes without it. And yet it performs far more functions than oxygen performs. It performs over 400 functions in the human body. Without glutathione, there'd be no life on Earth. No plants, no trees, no birds, no fish, no animals, no people. We'd all be toast in minutes. So it's that critical. And what this doctor explained to me is that how well we get through life in general, how long we live, how sick we get or don't get, how fast we recover or don't recover from anything, exercise, injuries, burns, anything. It's all glutathione dependent. And I thought, how can this be? And then he started explaining it to me. Glutathione, just to give you an idea of how vital it is, and I'm sorry, my nose is itching. That happens when you get old too. And but glutathione performs all these functions. One is when your body manufactures hemoglobin, those red blood cells, the whole purpose is to bind to oxygen and deliver oxygen throughout the body. Problem is it has the wrong electromagnetic charge. So instead of binding together, they actually can't even touch. Okay, kind of like trying to bring north poles of magnets together. You know, we learned that in first grade, you know, doesn't work. So in order for it to bind to oxygen, the hemoglobin molecule has to be reduced to what's called a +2. When it's reduced, then it binds to oxygen and delivers oxygen to every cell in our body. The sole reduction agent of hemoglobin, the only thing that reduces it, is glutathione. So without glutathione, you could take that nice deep breath, but all that oxygen that's now in my lungs wouldn't go anywhere. It'd just come right out when I breathe out, okay? Because it couldn't be absorbed into the bloodstream. And so that's pretty important. Try living without oxygen transfer. If you're a pearl diver, you can live up to 7 minutes, unless you're a female pearl diver, then you could live up to 4 minutes. But if you're not a pearl diver, you probably won't live more than 3 minutes. So anyway, that's critical. Now, that's just one of 400 functions performed by glutathione. Glutathione is the sole protector of your immune system. Now, we all learned in these last few years how critical to our life our immune system is. And the way it works, anytime there's a bacterial or viral insult, your immune system real quick goes to work and tries to figure out how do we destroy that. Once it's getting that figured out, it produces T cells and B cells that are the actual assassins, and it fires those off at the bacteria and virus and kill it. Now, critical to that process is how fast the T cells and B cells can reproduce in response to that bacterial or viral insult. That's entirely dependent upon your glutathione levels. Low glutathione levels, your T cells and B cells reproduce slowly, while the bacteria or virus is reproducing rapidly. Guess who wins and who loses? You lose. Okay. When we are able to enhance or elevate our glutathione levels and glutathione utilization in the cells, now the T cells can reproduce rapidly and even explosively in response to that bacterial or viral insult. So critical to our immune response. In fact, did you know that there are now studies showing that people that had a robust immune system, one that could reproduce the T cells and B cells rapidly, which always involved higher glutathione levels, they didn't die from the pandemic. They didn't even have real serious manifestations. They did, but their life was never threatened by it. That's an article that was published in the Journal of Infectious Diseases in 2019, May of 2019. Amazing breakthrough study, and it was followed up by a lot of other studies. So glutathione is critical to immune response. Glutathione is the detoxifier of the cell. Everybody on this call has at least 200 industrial chemicals in their body that were never intended to be there. And many of them are toxic and damaging to the cells. In fact, did you know that as long as we preserve the integrity of the mitochondrial DNA, the cell can't mutate? When that integrity is compromised or the mitochondrial DNA is broken, then the cell can mutate. Guess what breaks it? The chemical load in the cell. So glutathione is the sole detoxifier, the primary detoxifier of the cell. It has this sticky sulfhydryl molecule. That's why you smell a little sulfur when you first open a bottle. It's kind of a little bit of a gaseous release just when you first open. But that smell of the sulfur that's kind of an undertone, that is the glutathione and the cysteine in our product. And I'll explain that in a minute. But anyway, so glutathione, that sulfur molecule, is like flypaper, or those sticky spider traps you can buy anywhere now. And it sticks to the chemical and it ushers it out of the cell. Way cool. It's the only thing that can. It's also the primary chelator. If we were to do a blood panel on you and look for arsenic, cadmium, quite a few other heavy metals, we'd find them right there. Well, guess what? Glutathione's a chelator of heavy metals. So that's critical to life and performance. Glutathione is best known as the master antioxidant. And I'll explain that in a second, but let me just say one more thing. This is pretty cool. Your body manufactures 9,000 amino acids or peptides. Many of them become proteins, some become tripeptides, bipeptides, but they all have a purpose. Not one of those can be reproduced without glutathione or produced without glutathione. So it's critical to every cell, every tissue, every organ, every function. How well you get through your day physically, mentally, even emotionally, it's all glutathione dependent. In fact, Dr. Oz on his show said it's the most important antioxidant you've never heard of. And it says it protects us from, this is what he said, protects us from the diseases we fear the most. That's what he said about glutathione, not about our product. Our product doesn't treat, cure, prevent any disease. That's why it's a supplement rather than a drug. But he said that about the glutathione molecule. So glutathione is also your body's master antioxidant. Why is that important? It's not just important, it's critical. Why? Well, every cell in our body, every cell, skin cells, heart cells, brain cells, liver cells, they're all attacked by free radicals 10 to 20,000 times a day. Every cell. That's crazy. That's like an onslaught. You know, when I was in high school, they said that if we ever got in a war with China, they could send 1 million troops a day, every day over the fields, and they'd never run out of people. That's how big the population of China is. Well, that's kind of what happens in our cells. 10 to 20,000 free radicals attack every cell in our body every day. It's unrelenting. So how does our body defend against that? It looks for glutathione, okay? Now, all antioxidants work kind of the same way, but not to the same effect. A free radical is a scavenger or a thief. It wants to steal an electron from the cell, and when it does, it damages the cell. It causes what's called oxidative stress. Oxidative stress does two terrible things to the cell. Number one, it creates inflammation in the cell. Not good. Inflammation's our mortal enemy. Number two, it accelerates the aging of the cells. Well, you accelerate aging of cells, then tissues, then organs. Do you want your brain to age at a more rapid rate or a slower rate? How about your heart, your cardiovascular system? Do you want it to age more rapidly or more slowly? How about your skin? That's the biggest organ on our body is our skin. Do you want that to age more rapidly or more slowly? It's all dependent on oxidative stress, and glutathione is your body's first line of defense and primary line of defense against oxidative stress. Now, there are other antioxidants. Your body makes a couple, superoxide dismutase, catalase, it makes glutathione. And then we can ingest antioxidants like vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin D, vitamin A. They're all have antioxidant value. Now, problem is, there's a big problem, is that there is a spectrum of free radicals, okay? And the way an antioxidant works, it donates one of its electrons, that sequesters the free radical, captures it, and disposes of it, neutralizes it, okay? Now, you've got this spectrum, different compositions chemically, different sources, different structures. All antioxidants, including vitamin C, vitamin E, superoxide dismutase, catalase, all of those are monofocused, like the hotel key that you get will open one door, but it won't open any other door. That's how all antioxidants work. So vitamin C might take out that one and it leaves all these others. Vitamin E might take out that one, leaves all the others. Superoxide dismutase may take out that one, leaves all the others, okay? Because they're monofocused. Glutathione is called the master antioxidant because, like a master key to a hotel that can open any door in the hotel, glutathione can sequester and neutralize all free radicals, regardless of structure, regardless of composition, regardless of source. And it's the only thing that can. On top of that, I've heard some scientists have said that it's more than 1 million times more powerful than vitamin C. Now, here's what's cool. Vitamin C and vitamin E have great results as antioxidants when they can get into the cells. They don't all get into the cells. They're not totally bioavailable. And a lot of that's dependent on the particular cell and whether or not there's enough glutathione in the cell. When you have higher glutathione levels, it opens the door of the cell to vitamin C and vitamin E. When you have lower levels, it shuts the door and they can't get in. Okay, now, once an antioxidant donates one of its electrons, it's spent. It's like a gun that had a bullet in one chamber, but no other chamber. You fire off that bullet, now the gun's worthless as far as defending yourself or defending the country. One bullet in the chamber, that's all it has. That's how antioxidants are. They have one electron they can donate, and then they're useless. They're spent. Glutathione can recycle vitamin C and vitamin E 3 to 5 times. So it literally takes something that's that powerful and makes it that powerful, that much more utilitarian, that much more effective, okay? A wider range of effect because it can reload them, it recycles them. Here's why it's called the miracle molecule. Glutathione recycles itself. It's like a gun against the enemy that every time it discharges a bullet, reloads itself with another bullet, creates another bullet. How frequently can it do that? It recycles itself so many times that science can't put a number on it. That's amazing. It's a miracle molecule, and in every aspect of the word. Now, problem, glutathione declines as we age by 10 to 15% per decade. So as a 74-year-old, I have less than half of the glutathione I had at the age of 20. But the assault on my cells from the outside, from chemicals and so on, as well as from the inside and the free radicals and so on, is as high as it was when I was 20. I just have half the bullets. I don't have the same level of defense. So everybody on this call needs more glutathione. Also, anytime there's any health problem and injury and illness, we exhaust the reservoirs of glutathione more rapidly. So our glutathione level could be this high. Then we exercise, it dips down to handle the oxidative stress created by the exercise, builds back up. Oops, we eat some bad stuff, goes back down. How many of you like carbonated anything? I love carbonated things. Well, guess what? That reduces oxygen supply in the blood. So it all relates to oxidative stress. So glutathione is critical, not just to our health, but to how long we live, the quality of life we live. You know, I'm 74. I know 70-year-olds that this is how they act when their grandkids come over. Hi, sweetie, why don't you sit down? Grandpa's watching a TV show. You know, that's not me. That's not how I want to be. I want to be able to put my younger ones on my shoulder. I was just with one of my grandsons yesterday, and I want him to be able to fly the jet because I learned how to fly when I was 17. And so this is the stick, okay? Pull back, you go back, forward, you go forward, left bank, right bank. I want to keep doing that into my 80s, and if I can, my 90s. So I need my vitality. I want to keep writing books. I've just finished one more book, book number 14, but there's 7 more that I want to finish in the next 5 or 6 years. That requires that, okay? To write a book isn't as easy as it sounds, especially if you want it to be a good book. And I've been blessed. A lot of mine have been bestsellers. So that's what I like. Why? Because it means we impact more people, not get rich or anything. Most of my, anyway, I won't even get in that, but I just want to help the people that God puts in front of me. So what do? Well, you can't just go buy glutathione capsules. You can actually buy glutathione capsules anywhere you want. You can buy them on the internet, Amazon, you can go anywhere. But as soon as that glutathione hits the stomach, that sulfhydryl molecule that's so critical is fragile and it breaks right off. It's worthless. The glutathione will never make it into the cell. It's dead on arrival. Okay, that's what happens when you pass it through the stomach. Now, some people think, aha, let's surround it with a fat. We'll get it through that. The fat will protect it through the stomach. Yeah, but it makes the molecule size bigger. So now there's fewer cells it can get into. And the ones it gets into, you're now carrying a fat into that cell as well, which you really don't want. Why? Because fats are useless in the cells. They become a nice, like a sponge to the toxins in the cell. You don't want that. Now you got to get rid of the fat. So nice try, but not so good necessarily. That's why some scientists love liposomal delivery, other scientists hate it. So it depends on what side of the table you're on. Well, why don't we go get IV glutathione? Put it right into the veins, bypass stomach. Great idea at $200 to $300 an infusion, kind of expensive. Only problem is the glutathione, once it's in the cell, has a half-life of 90 minutes. So it goes into the cell minute 1, 90 minutes later, it's half its strength. 90 minutes after that, it's half its strength again, then half its strength again, and it goes down, 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 down. Okay, does that sound like something you want to do? Would you like to have IVs every day? I knew one surgeon, he's a brilliant surgeon in Miami, Florida, and he's in surgery 12 to 14 hours a day. To get through that kind of a load, and he's a fairly young man, I would guess he's maybe 50, and he was having to have glutathione infusions 3 times a week, $600 to $700 a week, just to maintain his mental state and physical state to get through those surgeries. He got on our product. Guess what? Within 7 days, he was off all IVs. Okay, why? Because our product goes right into the bloodstream. You swish it like a mouthwash, hold it under your tongue. So in the morning, when I take my first serving, I hold it under my tongue while I'm putting in my contacts, and the contacts are in. Then I start doing other things, and I'm swishing. I probably swish for a couple minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, and or under the tongue. And guess what? All of these particles, glutathione and L-cysteine, which is one of the component parts of glutathione, we've nanosized them. They go right into the bloodstream. And according to one scientist at the University of Utah, they're out of the bloodstream in 70 seconds. So people say, well, how much do you raise glutathione levels? We don't. It's out of the blood so fast, it's in the cells. When you measure glutathione levels, all you're doing is measuring what's in the lymphocytes or the erythrocytes. And does that tell you what's getting utilized by the cell? Not at all. It doesn't mean a thing. And yet it sounds good on paper, right? No, we don't raise glutathione levels. We get it into the cell where it can be utilized. We've nanosized glutathione and L-cysteine. Glutathione is made up of 3 peptides. It's a tripeptide: L-cysteine, glutamic acid, and glycine. Okay, so and the rate limiting factor is the L-cysteine. You can't get enough of that because it's fragile too. The stomach breaks that up. So what we do is we've nanosized L-cysteine and glutathione. We put glutathione into the cells very quickly, and that's like a loaded gun going in. It instantly starts taking out the enemy. The L-cysteine is like putting the elements into the cell so the cell can make its own, because we don't want the cells to get lazy. Okay, we want them to keep producing. So we nanosized L-cysteine and glutathione. So does it work? Good question. I knew if it worked, it would change athletic performance. So I gave one to one endurance athlete. He did it, called me the next morning, and actually called me the first night he used it, said, this is life-changing to an athlete. Steve, I can't even tell you what this is doing. Sent it to another friend of mine who held the world record in the bench press when he was 49 years old, former strength and conditioning coach of the Seattle Seahawks, as well as Liberty University and University of Washington football teams. And Bill had been an amateur weightlifter since he was 14, which means he's drug tested at every meet, set the world record in 2008 at 49, bench pressing 804 pounds. I called him in 2018, 10 years later, Bill, how you doing? He says, not so good. I said, why? He said, well, you know, Steve, you get older, you lose lean muscle, plus you just get older. Things hurt that used to not hurt. You can't work out certain muscles. It's harder. And consequently, your lifting power goes down. And he said, my bench press is down to 700 pounds. I said, hey, at 59, that sounds great to me. He says, well, it's a world record for a 59-year-old, but I don't get to compete with the young guys anymore, the guys that are pushing 800 pounds. And I said, well, something's about to change. He says, how's that? I said, number one, we know it radically reduces recovery time. How often do you lift heavy, Bill? He said, I used to lift heavy 4 to 5 times a week, which means reps and sets of 500 pounds or more. He says, now I can only lift heavy once a week. And I said, I think that's going to change. Well, boy, did it change. Within a few months, he was lifting heavy again 4 to 5 times a week, and not just 500 pounds, 600 pounds, then 700 pounds, then 800 pounds, sets and reps at 800 pounds. His bench press in 6 months as a 59-year-old didn't keep going down. In 6 months, it went up from 700 pounds to 915 pounds. And in the 6 months following that, as a 60-year-old, it went to 1,050 pounds, new world record. He just retired this year at 62. In his last meet, he set a record they say will never be touched by anybody, 1,129.8 pounds. How do you go up when the rest of the world is going down as they're aging? It's called glutathione enhancement. And remember I said it's the biggest breakthrough I've found in my lifetime. Nanosizing glutathione and L-cysteine and some other cofactors, we're able to create utilization very, very rapidly, and it's life-changing. It changes your performance, how you get through the day mentally, physically, emotionally. It all goes up. Instead of going down as we're aging, it's going up as we're aging. I mean, my vitality today compared to 3 years ago when we first started working with this stuff, is night and day for me as a 74-year-old. And I was 71 then. Well, one of our athletes got in an accident, messed up her face. She got home from the race. It was a cycling race, 100-mile race. She got out of the hospital after 4 days. And she thought, hey, this stuff's nano. Maybe if I put it on my face, it'll make my face clear more rapidly. The plastic surgeon said it would take 5 weeks to heal. Well, in 5 days of topical application, her face was completely clear, not even a scar. The plastic surgeon couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I had owned 4 different skincare companies, either 4 or 5. I have to really think through that. And I had people like Sherritt as one of my spokespersons for one company, Kathy Lee Gifford for another company, Angie Dickinson for another company, Meredith Baxter Burney for another company. So I loved skincare. What I hated about skincare is I couldn't get good before and afters. Well, when I saw what happened with this athlete, I put some in spray bottles, sent it to a few friends and said, spray your face 5 times a day, and let's see what happens over an 8-week period. Well, this is the first picture I got back. This was 7 weeks. When I saw that, I thought, oh my goodness, nobody in the world can do this. In fact, I sent it to my former formulator, who was the head formulator for a company that makes Botox, that created Botox. He saw this, and he used to be president of the American Society of Cosmetic Chemists. So this guy's in the know. He's a little bit older than me, but man, he's genius. He saw this and he goes, Steve, nobody does that. It looks like she's had a facelift. Are you sure she didn't have a surgical procedure? I said, I promise. I know this lady. She's one of my very dear friends. And the other pictures that came in right after that, I sent him those. And he said, Steve, nobody in the world has skincare like this. Nobody. Let's go to the left. By the way, Sherry was 59. She's now with Numi. This was in 2018, so years before we even thought of Numi. And this is another woman. This is in Australia with terribly sun-damaged hands. Look at the difference. That was about 6 weeks. Now, both her and Sherry were swishing, so that's from the inside out, and they were spraying from the outside in. Glutathione, cysteine are formulas. Let's go down. Let's look at a couple more, and then we're all done. Okay, this woman on the left is a client of one of our Numi distributors in Australia, and she said, look at the difference. Now, obviously, we didn't do the brows and the lips. Those were tattooed on. But look at the difference in skin tone, in the diminishing of the appearance of pores. And, of course, look at how much tighter her face is. She said, the only problem is everybody thinks I've lost weight because my face is so much more narrow. She said, I didn't lose a pound. But everybody says, how did you lose your weight? And I have to tell them I haven't lost weight. The woman on the right owns a skincare salon in Miami, Florida. She's an esthetician. She sent this after 8 days and said, holy mackerel, look at this, Steve. The appearance of my pores has been diminished. Look how much brighter my skin is. It's opened up my eyes. She said, this stuff, I have been in skincare my whole adult life. There is nothing that does anything like this. She's right. Okay, let's keep going down. Let's go down a little bit. We're almost done. And here we go. I was much younger here. I was 71, so I decided to spray my right hand and not my left hand. Ryan wanted me to spray one side of my face. I said, I don't want to look freaky. So I did my hands. Well, look at that. Look how much smoother the one on the right is, brighter, healthier looking, younger looking. That was about 7 weeks spraying 4 to 5 times a day. We'll go down. We'll look at just a couple more real quick. The one on the left is one of my favorites because this woman, she's the mother of a doctor in Nigeria, and the doctor was calling on one of our wonderful Numi family members in Nigeria. And she said, Lillian, what are you doing with your face? You look younger. She said, well, I'm using this spray. She said, can I have some for my mom? How's that for a good daughter? And she took it home. This was just under 4 weeks. Look at that. Nothing in the world can do that. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine what we're going to do when we're on the ground throughout Africa, India, Asia, where skin brightening is really important? Look at the difference. Look how much younger she looks. And okay, let's go to the right. This is the brother of one of our double diamonds. And but this was 2 years before we started Numi. And this was in 1 week. He's 45 years old, so he had that on. Crazy. Okay, so what do we have? We have what I believe is the greatest supplement ever created. What it can do for us, our health and life is amazing. Our longevity, athletic performance, how we get through our day. I'm not an athlete, but man, I want to get through my day with the level of vitality in the afternoon and evening that I have in the morning when I get out of bed. I never think, oh, another day. How am I going to make it? No, I get up, I swish. I'm really groggy at first, but I start to swish and I come to life, and it's unbelievable. I want you to know, if anything ever happens to this company, I'm going to still keep a warehouse of this product just for me and my family. But, we're growing so fast, I don't think we have to worry about that. Aaron, back to you, my dear friend and partner, who I appreciate so much.
Well, Steve, thank you. And I always tell people this, that when you're done with this call when Steve's done and wrapping up, everybody literally is starting to put down their pencil or their pen or on and on. And we always tell people, just use the app. There is so much information in there that you can take Steve right out of the app and send it to all your people that you want to introduce to NUMMI. So make it easy on yourself and make it easy on the people. You don't have to be Steve. I can't do it. You probably can't do it, but maybe you're very smart. Steve has this literally down to the ability to actually educate us every single day the same way. So we look forward to that. And of course, Steve talks about his background, his experience. It would have been easy for him, as he had to, with all of his products in the past, spend tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars putting it into TV stations, marketing and advertising agencies, and lining their pockets. But what he really wanted to do was to be able to put the money right in the good old-fashioned families, households like you. He wanted to give families just like yours the opportunity to have that same type of wealth and the same type of opportunity that he would give them, but he wanted to do it this way with the people. So that's an exciting thing for us, because we have the opportunity to help a lot of people, especially right now in these inflationary times around the world. Doesn't matter where you are, everybody's experiencing some of the same things. So again, we're excited to have you. We're excited to be a part of this with you. If you've invited people to this call, follow up with them. If you were invited to the call, make sure that you follow up with the person that invited you so that you can get involved with them and get your hands on these hot little products. And folks, we've got a call tonight. It will be